Richard has given so many countless hours. He absolutely is richly deserving of this award.
Richard is thinking about 5 and 10 years down the road where the sport can be, and he's kind of laying the tracks, if you will, to help you kind of plan out that vision.
Richard is a determined man, and once Richard puts his mind to do something, it gets done, and it gets done to a perfection.
Richard's got an incredible passion for the game. He's committed to the game, there's no doubt. He's been a conduit of professional soccer and moving our sport forward in this country.
Out of all the people that have won this award, I think Werner would be smiling very, very broadly with today's announcement.
I think more than anything I would sum up Richard where he planted a lot of seeds knowing where the sport could go, and I think he planted the seeds very early, hoping and I think counting on somebody to take those seeds and making sure they get nurtured.
I think he's been a selfless promoter of the game. Everything is about making the game better, giving more opportunities for players, for administrators, for staff.
Richard played a very important role in developing new revenue streams for the Federation at a time when we didn't have a lot of money, and that was, that was pretty critical.
We were broke, and Richard came in and really funded it and put on some games.
We didn't have a lot of full-time staff, so almost everything was done and driven by volunteers. And in Richard's case, the place he got most involved with the Federation was in international games, was actually promoting events, trying to get people to come to games.
We had to go in and sell, or he had to go in and sell a stadium manager that we could actually have this thing called a soccer game, an international soccer game at your stadium. And we could actually draw 5, 10, 15,000 people. It was worth opening up your building.
To bring back the game and expose that to the people really gave the game more exposure and more notoriety in the United States.
I saw him in Costa Rica hooking up a computer line to broadcast the games back to the States, totally on his own.
There was nothing available, and he had to do a makeshift antenna just to get the broadcast back to the States. When there was a will, he found a way to get it done. And it was nothing for him, it was to share the game with everybody else.
He's been willing to do thankless jobs, difficult jobs, and he's not really sought personal recognition.
He's been on our board, he's run a professional league, he's run a state association, he's been a volunteer for a very long time, sold tickets, made policy decisions, balanced the Federation's books, so he's been involved in every possible way, and I think Werner Fricker would be very proud of that.
I've seen him with massive numbers of people going to games and taking the games, and let's face it, he's the creator of the U.S. Cup, which was really the dry runs up to hosting the World Cup in 1994.
When the World Cup was awarded, I think everybody was focused on World Cup. Richard, I think, focused on the runway to the World Cup.
These games really kind of got people on the edge of their seats a bit, thinking that we're less than a year away from the World Cup, and this is what it's going to look like.
The U.S. Cup was critically important to us in that we had to create a professional team without a professional league.
But in 1993, there were a lot of people that just weren't quite sure if we could pull this thing off.
We started having games that get 30 or 40,000 people.
Attendance today at Soldier Field in Chicago, 53,549.
England, Germany, Brazil, United States. I mean, these are the best teams in the world. And Richard was the father of that.
Terrific crowd on hand here today. Now, this is just an outstanding venue.
And what a great tournament this is.
We had to perform. And we did, and it worked out very well for us, and it was critical to our success of '94 as well.
Richard embodies the legacy of fan support in the States. He is a big fan.
Biggest passion comes when he's at matches and seeing what he's built in front of him. The most times you see Richard smiling are at games. That's where he is in his element, where he enjoys it the most.
'98 Cup, I remember walking in with a big crowd, the game, and he was with a whole contingent of friends and family. I just remember the smile on his face and seeing there's a guy who's put so much into the sport, but just for tonight, he's not in a shirt and tie, he's in a replica jersey, and it was just about being a fan.
One thing you can never, ever question about Richard is not only his love of the game, which is incredibly deep, his appreciation for the game, but the love of this organization. love of the United States Soccer Federation, the love of the people that are within this organization.
That's one thing Richard has, is total passion. When he's doing something, he's doing it from the heart. Richard never did anything for recognition. It was always done for the passion of the game, and it always came from his heart.
And I know that Richard had a closeness with Werner Fricker. It's not only appropriate that he's the recipient of the award. I think the fact that he and Werner were actually very close business friends, and I think personal friends, makes it even a little more special.
I know how much it means to him, and I'm sure Werner Fricker would be very proud to see Richard carry on, his legacy, and to be able to gain the award that is named after him.
It's been a great joy, Richard, to have been at World Cups with you, to sold tickets with you, to plan the growth of the game with you, and I can't thank you enough and congratulate you and your family for this terrific honor.
I have a tremendous respect for the man, and I have a tremendous feeling of thankfulness for him as a U.S. fan, because you can't question his love for this organization. It's just he just lives for it. So my hat's off to Richard Groff. He richly deserves this award.